second half of the 5+1 segment. Anish, Hans has some coming back to do, and this time we have a Berlin.
Switching things around. He played the other Spanish, and now he plays the Berlin. It's exciting.
Okay, so we had a lot of Berlins in that Firouzja Grishuk match. Hans does play the Berlin, and it's in his repertoire, but I never understand how players just sort of casually play this as their third or fourth option, just because of the knowledge required.
Yeah, but Hans is an expert of this. That was a famous game that Kramnik played against him that he recorded a video about. Happened in this very line as well. This bishop b7 knight h4 setup. This was Hans' favorite. I think in the match between Alireza and Grishuk, we saw different variations. We saw lines with bishop coming to d7, pawn going to h6 sometimes. This is a very different story, a much more concrete way of playing for black. Yeah, Hans is not new to this, but Maxim is also a big expert. So we'll see what will happen in this game, and I think that will largely determine whether we'll see this endgame again or whether one of the two players will deviate from it.
Knight to g5, landing an attacker on the f7 pawn. Now, is black okay with the trade on g5, or is that considered a concession?
Yeah, you shouldn't get fooled with the simplicity of that, because the issue black has in these positions very often is the rooks are very immobile when the bishop lands on g5. And Hans is waiting, and now after e6, maybe now taking on g5 is a lot more safe. The arising endgame is going to be slightly worse for black, but not a big deal. I think the bishop g5 here is just quite okay. I mean, it's a bit unpleasant, but it's okay.
Retreating knight moves, folks. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've had a few games like that. It's, black is always suffering, but it should hold.
F6, knight f3, very important. The knight is not going to f7. It's going to drop back, and the bishop on h4 is suddenly essentially trapped. Black will have to give up a pawn, at least.
The other option is fe6 first, knight e6, and then king f7. C7 pawn is probably not going to be taken. The knight maybe will go back to g5, and then you can consider taking, or you can consider going for king g6. This is the more ambitious way for black. Bishop g5 is a simpler one of the two. Let's go rook e8 simply.
Yeah, the good thing is, okay, bishop takes c2, maybe, but I feel like that kind of goes for unnecessary adventures. Yeah, Hans playing very mature chess here. He should be able to hold this without too much trouble. In fact, I mean, how does Maxim even
bishop
keep
e3
going?
Yeah, I think it goes bishop e3, and then he will try to get maybe f3 g4 at some point. There is some pressure. There. Bishop c2 is currently a threat, but Maxim dodges that. You don't want to trade rooks as white.
Yeah, clearly white is in the driver's seat here just because of his healthier pawn majority and the fact that rooks on the board, do guarantee some life in the position. People should realize that when the rooks are off the board, it's a much different situation with opposite colored bishops. When the rooks are on the board, there's still some meat on the bone. But I don't think it's realistic. I mean, Hans doing a good job here, making g4 very hard to carry out.
At the same time, of course, this being a draw in a classical game, in blitz, it's very easy for white to put pressure. And there are ideas. So one idea could be king g3, king h4. I kind of like that, getting my king more active. And that's, I think, what... and
Bobby Fischer.
Pawn was snatched. Yeah, it's a Fischer-esque style move. Very daring by Maxim. After b6. Wow, this is a bold. Rook e4, rook a4, rook a7. Is that his idea of getting the bishop out?
That's quite the jailbreak operation. Maybe he's also going to try a4, b4, and a5. Maybe he hopes that the pawns can deflect black. Instead, Hans goes the other way. He doesn't try to trap the bishop. He tries to go after
rightly so.
White's pawns on the second rank. It's sort of mutual Pac-Man here.
Yeah, maybe rightly so. And now we're back to this position where white is just up a pawn, but black is very active. The g2 pawn is exposed, so bishop d5 is coming next. And I think that should secure black enough activity to hold this position, but he is down a pawn now.
Yeah, well observed. Bishop takes b6, rook takes b2, hits the bishop, and as you said, bishop will establish itself on d5, forcing white's rook potentially into total passivity. Yeah, well defended, honestly, so far by Hans, who has had very sloppy moments, but by and large has done a really good job in these slightly worse positions, not giving a single inch of territory to Maxime.
Yeah, so far definitely good how he's playing this particular game. Bishop d5, is there a c4 or... I don't think so. Yeah, rook g2, king h1, bishop f3. I think it works for black.
Rook e2 there.
Rook e2 wins material, you're correct. So bishop d5 is a safe move. And let's just do that. And then after rook... Okay, then I thought maybe bishop g7, there's bishop d5 simply winning as well. So yeah, you can reverse the order. Start with rook a2 and then go bishop d5.
That's so instructive, always remembering that you can lose in an instant any position, no matter how safe it looks. I'm going to quickly show that bishop takes g7 here, trying to get fancy. Nope. Bishop d5, and you get burned, because once you drop your bishop back, it's a classic windmill idea. Rook e2 discover check, winning the rook. On e1, of course, Maxime is not going to miss such a thing. He gives a check, brings his rook up instead.
Ooh,
shuts the rook down. But that's a risky move, h4, isn't it?
Well, rook g3 was coming, though, at the same time. So h4 is risky, but it has a clear idea. He wants to go bishop d5. Now rook f4 is coming. And after rook f4, bishop d5. Oh, wait, rook g4?
Sorry about that.
This is very worrying for...
I apologize. That was my bad. This is the current position.
Bishop f3 wins.
Wait, bishop f3 and he blunders?
Wow. This is so unlike Maxime. This is more a way Hans would lose a game, not Maxime. Wow. Wild.
And we displayed exactly this type of idea earlier. The g2 pawn is literally the only target, and Maxime traps his own rook on the g file. Now it has no more squares on that file. He simply resigns.
He was making progress. He could take with rook on g7.